Well, my loves, it's now this butterfly. Oops. Butterfly, it's always sending you guys out peace, blessings, love, and abundance. I was over here getting the screen together so I can do this video for you guys. This video is going to be about your chakras and doing the chakra spinning so you can start balancing your chakras. But before I get into that, I actually want to talk about a little bit about the feminine and masculine principle. And looking at my screen right now is amazing because I see how the light being on one side of the room and the darkness on the other side of the room, which is actually exhibiting the signs of the darkness and the light, which is the duality that we live in. Your right brain representing and being the darkness, and your left hemisphere, I should say right hemisphere, and then your left hemisphere being the light. And the right hemisphere actually controls the left side of your body, and the left hemisphere controls the right side of your body. Okay, so you can see like the duality literally as I'm talking to you guys right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into it. This is gonna be a really, really good one. I'm excited about it. Okay, so I'm gonna first start off talking about the source code 1010. So I've come to realize what we call angel numbers or spiritual numbers are really source codes. And the source codes are really codes given to us by our soul communicating to us in a form that is familiar to the matter or to the material, which is the number system, because the universe is coded in numbers. Everything is a number. Every symbol is also represented by a number. Let me first start by state by saying is that the universe is first very symbolic. It is all about symbols and geometry and shapes. So the ancients actually talked in a language of symbols and shapes. So when you see like the hieroglyphs and things on walls, they were utilizing these symbols, these shapes, these geometric shapes to represent a universal principle. Okay, so when we talk about the number 1010 or the code 1010, the number one is representing, let me, before I back up, before I get into what it represents, I first came across, it was either Bobby Hammett or Brother Panic talking about, I think it was Brother Panic talking about the 1010 and talking about it representing the masculine and the feminine principle, but I received a download with additional information, so I wanted to make sure I share that with you guys. Um, so I'm going to jump into it. So the number one, um, the numbers 1010 are a source code. It's literally the coding. If you think about the World Wide Web, it is the coding that is the start of anything. So before you can actually start coding, the World Wide Web is filled with zeros and ones. That coding actually comes from the universe because the universe is coded in zeros and ones. And those zeros and those ones represent the black woman and the black man. The zeros represented the black woman and the divine feminine energy because the zeros represent the vagina and the womb. And if you think about ancient times, this is why we always made sure that we make the statues to accentuate the voluptuousness of a woman, which means the fertility of a woman. Okay, it represents like when you think about when a woman gets pregnant, everything starts to swell up. Her breasts get bigger, so your boobs get bigger, your body actually starts to swell up. Even your nose, everything starts to get a little bit bigger. You become more rounder. When you're pregnant, your belly is round, is a symbol of the zero, of the potential. And zero does represent unlimited potential, which is what we are. We come from unlimited potential. And then the one represents limited potential. It represents the masculine principle, which is the penis or the phallus and the sperm. Okay, it represents those three things. And this is why in ancient times, the statues for the masculine principle will be a large phallus. And that's including Osiris. If you look at some of the statues that were created for Osiris or images, you'll see that he has a large phallus or penis. And it wasn't anything grotesque. What happened was when the European or the Caucasian started to quote unquote take over the planet, they didn't understand sexuality because they didn't understand the spirituality of the masculine and the feminine principle. So they looked at sex as a negative thing, as a grotesque thing. And so they started to to destroy the statues and things, the temples and all things that we created, because they thought sex was something that was taboo. But we knew that sex meant creation. And so I'm going to continue to get into that, okay? So like I said, the World Wide Web stands for zeros and ones. That's literally coming from the dark web, coming from the dark side, coming from the matter, coming from the Kaliph. If you're familiar with the Kabbalah, okay? So that's coming from where everything that's in the light emanates from the dark side, the subconscious mind. This is, like I said, the universal code of creation that represents the mother and the father. The zero is the mother, the one is the father. Also, in ancient times, the zero could be the mother, and then the one could be the child, because the child represents the sperm. All right. So that's where the principle of the child came. I'm going to fold my legs. The principle of the child came into existence because, and why the one represented the father and the child is because the sperm came from the father and the child was the sperm. Okay. So that's why the one actually represents both. All right. And let me see. I took some notes because I wanted to make sure that I did not leave out anything. All right. So now we're going to get into the meaning of the X. When I was listening to the video last night, from the Black Magic 363 channel, which is Father Rich, and he had Q Reeves on there, and Q Reeves was talking about the X and why Osiris would do the X. All right. If you look at any images of Osiris, and I actually will pull some of that up. Let me do that now. Let me use my left hand. I'm working on using my left hand more. I love how I said more. The Moors. All right. I have something up because I'm going to share something with you guys. But before I share this with you, with the Taurus field, I'm going to get into Osiris. I love about typing is you have to use your left and your right hand. That teaches you the balance of your left brain and your right brain. All right. You see how these right here, this is not what I'm looking for. This right here kind of represents the X because he has the flail and he has like the, I forgot what the other one is called. We can use this right here, but I really want a picture of Osiris. I need to Google Osiris and the X. Let's do that. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, this looks like it was actually something. I know I've seen better images of Osiris making the X. This is actually, let's see what this is. Because I really don't want any of this to slow me down and me doing searches or whatnot. Well, because I really want to get into the actual information. Information is key. Information is light. All right? Knowledge is light. Maybe it's Osiris with his arms crossed. How about that? All right. This looks more like it. Okay, I'm going to use this one. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Searching you shall find. How about that? Okay, so you see Osiris right here with his arms crossed, and we're going to talk about that right now. So the reason why he had his arms crossed like this, and you know black people do this all the time. In the movie Black Panther, and in Handshake, they did this. So I'm about to explain what the fuck that really means. So like I said, I was watching Q Reeves, and he was talking about Osiris did the X because he was stating that he came from the mother. Now, I'm not going to say that that was his exact quote, but he was basically saying that this meant the mother. So we know that if we know anything about DNA, that the X chromosome represents the feminine, and then the Y chromosome represents the masculine principle. So we have the feminine principle and we have the masculine principle. And so he was saying that Osiris was stating that he was of the mother. And we know in ancient times that the DNA, the line and everything, the kingship, everything came from the mother. So your lineage, you being crowned a king, came from your mother. And the reason being is because it was based upon your DNA. We went by the science in ancient times, okay? Whereas nowadays, they say that you take on your father's name, so they're going by the Y chromosome. But I'm going to tell you why that's ass backwards, okay? And why we're upside down now, okay? So when Osiris was doing the X, it was meaning that he came from the mothership and that he was returning to the mothership. So he came from matter, the mother. If you look at the video I did before talking about the memory, the matter, the memory, and the water, I explained how the matter is actually the mother earth. It's the ma terra. Okay, so it's telling you that the body is of mother earth. And when you return to the spirit actually also, it comes from the mother, because the spirit, you're encased in darkness, which represents the triple darkness of the womb. When you're carried in your mother's womb in the physical, you're encased in her triple darkness. You know what I'm saying? The three stages of darkness, which is the blackness, which represents the womb, which represents the waters, which represents memory. So Osiris was saying that he was going back to the ethereal. He was leaving the physical mother to go back to the ethereal mother, all right, that triple darkness, okay? So he was going into the true mothership, all right? I wanted to also mention that the X chromosome, like I said, is a feminine principle, the X. And if you think about the X, it has, I can actually pull up an X. Get into it. Yeah, some physical examples. I'm working on giving you guys some images and things like that, especially when I pull from my mind. Because if I'm reading from a book, I can just like go over, okay, talking about this book. I'm gonna do this glittery gold one. Okay. So looking at an X, you see it has a downward triangle and it has an upward triangle and it has a meeting point where they meet. Okay, so the downward triangle represents what? The feminine principle. Represents the feminine principle. The upward triangle represents the masculine principle. Okay, as above, so below. As above, so below. All right. So, anywho's, when Osiris was doing that X, he was telling you also, he was giving you instructions. So think about the ancient Egyptians or Cometians, that they would give you instructions on how to die properly, how to die successfully. And remember, if we think about death and not the way that we've been taught in Western world, because there's a fear of death, because to them, the X represents the unknown. To us, it represents the mother. Okay, so the X representing the mother, we realized that we were going back to the mother. It is the division from the earth. Death is division, the D, from earth. Okay. So Osiris is telling us how we need to bury our dead. So when we put our dead in a coffin or do a burial for them, they're actually supposed to have their arms crossed. Okay, this is positioning them in a way, giving them the momentum to go back to the dark matter. When we have them cross their arms, we're actually putting it almost in a square position, and the square represents what? Earth, the four corners. So you're gonna come back to the four corners, because this is crossing and you have your shoulders. So this is literally a square. You're bringing somebody back to reincarnate back onto this earth. So even if you choose to have your person family member buried in the church, you want to make sure that the coroner, not the coroner, but the funeral home puts their arms like this, because that represents that they're going back to the mother and not back into the matter. This is the ethereal mother. This is the physical mother. You want them to go back to the ethereal mother, okay? All right. Um, what else? I had put a note on the side about the word chromosome. So crow, when you think about the word crow, they have chronos, which represents Saturn, the crow nose. The crow also represents the bird, the crow, also represents the crone, the crone, which we know we have the maiden, the mother, and the crone represents what? The wisdom, because she's the elder woman. All right. She's aged, and age represents time. Okay. So your chromosomes are literally representing a chronological period of time. Okay. So you're going from different periods of time in your DNA strand. That's what your chromosome is representative of. Okay. So now I want to get into how the X represents what another aspect of what the X represents. Remember, I told you a symbol represents 1,000 things. Words actually can represent 1,000 energies as well. It's just that we have gotten away from the original way of using words. When we started to dumb down, which means that we started to forget how to tap into our first eye, which is our pineal gland, which is the all-seeing eye. We had to take on words and language, and with the words and language, we did our best to relate it to those images. Okay. So now I'm going to talk about the X relating to what we call a torus field. Now, the torus field, I'm going to show you images of the torus field. The torus field is what our human body is, the invisible part of our human body. It's a electromagnetic field that's created by the human body. I don't even like saying the human body. It's surrounding the human body, because it is actually what's emanating the human body. If you did not have a torus field, the physical body would cease to exist. And a lot of the humans that are on this plane right now, their torus field is diminishing and diminishing and diminishing, because their energy is being drained and drained and drained. It's being fed on, and it's being baked on and vampirized on by these other energies that people don't even know that exist in their auric field. And those energies exist because they exist inside of you. And that's what we call negative thought patterns. And that's why everybody be on this whole think positive wave, is because they don't understand what that really stems from. That stems from the fact that when you think negative thoughts, you're creating vampires. Think of your children as your creation. Your thoughts are your creation. They're your children and your babies, and you're manifesting those things into vampires because you have a negative thought pattern. All right. So when you start to think positive, then you're creating these positive thought forms and positive children and positive creations. All right. That way you can get the things that you say you want in life. So, getting back to your Taurus field, Dan Winter. If you're not familiar with Dan Winter, he is a metaphysicist or a quantum physicist. He's some type of physicist. Okay, and he gives you like the left brain logical terminology of what I'm talking about. Mind you, because I am a melanated etheric being. So my brain functions more on the right hand side, which is the subconscious mind. So a lot of times when he's talking, I'd be like, what? I kind of get it, but what? Because we teach more on a simplistic level. We teach more so that a child can understand it. That's why we always spoke through stories and allegories. We taught our children through allegories and stories. We taught them about their bodies based upon creating these images and characters, which became deities. Okay. And that's literally where deities came from. When you teach your children, you're telling them bedtime stories, and the bedtime stories are based upon these images, and these images are become stories, and you're giving them a whole background of how their motherfucking chakras work, how their subconscious mind and conscious mind work, which the subconscious mind would be Osiris, and their conscious mind would be a Set or Haru, and just giving them the whole imagery of how it comes, and really how Set and Haru are battling one another for the spot You know what I'm saying? The spotlight, because Set is representing the matter and Haru is representing the spirit part, and the spirit and the matter are battling one another. So you're creating these stories, and as the children grow and get older and older and older, then you're starting to relate it and say, okay, when I told you about this particular person, this is actually your chakra system. This is your subconscious mind. This is this planet. This meant this planet, and this planet relates to this chakra. That is how we taught our children. We actually put it into a story form, and everything fit as one. We always brought everything back to a oneness, where else the Caucasian people were created in only in the form of matter, so they did not have an understanding of the spiritual side. So now they're trying to work and catch up to that. This is literally not trying to down any particular thing or talk about or make it a race debate. This is really speaking about the facts, and this is really speaking about the whole reason why there's an issue right now, and why there's a battle between the quote unquote Caucasians and the quote unquote black people, and why the black people are being treated the way they're treated is because we come from a spiritual realm and a spiritual way of thinking, and because that is something that's unknown to the other side, they fear it. Something that's unknown, you typically fear the unknown. You don't, that's literally like if you never swim before, you're going to have a fear of it because you don't know what you're doing. But once you let go of that fear and release it, and you go ahead and overcome that fear, you gain knowledge of it and you gain experience. That is literally what the black people have done in this world, because we are ancient and we have reincarnated multiple times, and we had all these multiple experiences. The ancient Egyptians are so highly regarded because they actually have done the death process multiple times through astral travel, astral projection, and literally from dying. They have done spouts where they died for a certain amount of time and they came back to life into the physical, so that they can tell others what death looked like, what the other side looked like. Okay, we've done it multiple times, and that's why we have so much knowledge and we gain so much light. Knowledge is fucking light. Okay, I'm knowledge butterfly. I'm giving you guys light. Okay, so anywho's, I was saying a whole lot, and I actually dove into something I didn't plan on. It's not in my notes, but it is what it is. So, and I'm going to get back into what I was talking about. Dan Winter, like I said, he's very logical, so he's very rational, and so what he does, he calls the X the downward triangle and the upward triangle, which is the vagina and the phallus. He calls that the pine cones kissing noses. Okay, that's where the vagina and the phallus meet. The phallus entering the vagina. All right, that's also what you call your six-pointed star. All right, so that's your X. Now, when you think about the X chromosome, you think of a balance. It is a perfectly balanced letter, a perfectly balanced shape. All right. You have the feminine principle and the masculine principle represented in the X. All right. The feminine being the top part, the masculine being the bottom, as above, so below. Females, we have an XX chromosome. We're X and X, as above, so below, meaning that our crown chakra matches our root chakra. Males have an XY, meaning that their crown chakra is an X and their motherfucking root is a Y. Okay? Y. Okay? This means that the females are more balanced. This is why we're able to tap into spirit easier. This is why the female is able to tap into the heart chakra more, because the heart chakra is the center. So we have a balance here and here. We're able to tap into love, the love frequency, easier than the masculine. I'm going to explain that a little bit more. Like I said, the males are XY. I'm going to talk about the Y chromosome now. The Y chromosome has the V, which is the vagina, and it has a line, which is the penis. So this is why your blueprint for a man, remember the first X represents the crown and the bottom Y represents the root. So that's telling you that the Y represents the phallus or the penis, and that's why the man develops a penis, because that the instructions are a Y. You're given the instructions of a Y, okay? All right. So that literally means that when a man is having sex, he ejaculates, he is excreting his life force energy. Whereas a woman, we have an X, we are pulling it down to pull it back up, pulling it down to pull it back up, which is a torus field. We're creating a torus field in a donut, and I'm going to show you what that looks like right now. I'm going to get into that right now, okay? This is a site that I found talking about your auric field. Your auric field is created from your chakras and your motherfucking brain, and it's also created from your when I say your chakras, it's mainly created from your crown chakra, your heart chakra, and your root chakra. That's a trinity. Remember, it's always going to be broken down to a trinity. Not saying that the other chakras are not important, but your crown, your heart, and your root chakra are definitely ones that are the most magnetized for creating your reality and also creating your auric field. Your auric field changes colors based upon your moods, which is based upon your emotions. Your moods are really your emotions. The moods are the moon. It's controlled by the moon if you don't have control of your emotions. All right. And your mind, which you can look at that as your crown chakra, and yeah, you can look at that as your crown chakra for the most part, is controlled by your thoughts. So this is right. The first picture is just showing you what an auric field looks like. You see the top portion is shaped like the V. Like I said, it's the vagina. Okay. This is the opening up. This is a portal that's opening you up. And the bottom is also a portal that is opening you up. So if you really look at it, both of them are opening. The top of the X is an opening, and the bottom of the X is an opening. It's openings. Okay. Opening you up to different portals, to different dimensions, and so you can travel between dimensions. All right. I'm not going to read everything that this is saying. The basis of this is really so you can see the illustrations, because I want to talk about the torus field. I'm going to read this part. What is a torus? In geometric terms, so let's think about everything as a geometric pattern. Your X is a geometric pattern. Your Y is a geometric pattern. The torus field is a donut, which is a geometric pattern. Okay. So a torus is a surface of revolution generated by revolving a circle in three-dimensional space. Three-dimensional space, think of your crown chakra, your heart chakra, and your root, okay? About an axis coplanar with the circle. If the axis of revolution does not touch the circle, the surface has a ring shape and is called a ring torus, or simply torus if the ring shape is implicit. This is why when you get married, you put a ring on it. If you like it, then you should have put a ring on it. If you like it, then you should have put a ring on it. Don't get mad if you see that he want it. Hey, that's why you put a ring on it, okay? In other words, the small ring goes around along the tube, while the large ring goes around the entire length of the tube from the top to the outside of the bottom to the inside. And we're going to talk about that. Outside to inside. Literally, it's inside to outside. Don't let that fool you. The energy flows from the inside to the motherfucking outside. It goes from bottom to the motherfucking top and comes out and spills over and comes back into the bottom and goes up to the top. It spills out. All right. Because the torus has a vertical axis, the empty donut, it will rotate both horizontally while also flowing vertically. Wonder what we get the donuts from. The shape of your apples. This is the shape of everything. This is the shape of my motherfucking apple right here. This is the shape pretty much of all your fruit. If you cut the fruit in half, what does it look like? This. All right. In relation to the human aura, this ring-shaped torus is stretched up and down. If we draw some lines in the torus, we have this particular shape that they have right here, which is this green shape that you see. All right. With all the lines. And this literally looks like waves and patterns. So it's showing you that your energy expresses itself in waves. Those waves go out, go down, come back in and out. All right. So always keep in mind that the human aura or torus field is not a fixed or static form. It is a continuous movement, which means it's forever changing. based upon your moods. If you're happy, if you're sad, if you're mad, if you're joyful, whatever it is. That's why getting control of your emotions and your chakras is very, very important, because if you don't get control of those, you are sending out a wave of vibrations that's way bigger than this body. We are so caught up in the physical form, we don't understand our reach. So this right here is showing you the reach. It's showing you the reach of what you're doing to yourself and the environment you're creating, the reality that you're creating. All right. Universal energy from all around a person strays into this dynamic form, flows along its field lines, and X is again. The torus field, the torus is a wave form. All right. So most people are following somebody else's waves, following somebody else's torus field. You're supposed to create your own motherfucking wave. You're supposed to be the wave, not ride somebody else's wave. Okay. Don't let them niggas ride your wave. Okay. So like a surface wave on water that has its existence only by the movement of water, the human aura or torus has its existence only by the continuous movement of universal life energy or prana. All right, your prana energy comes from your chi energy and your life force energy, which resides in your sacral chakra. And when I was talking about how the man has the Y shape and you are actually ejaculating instead of injaculating, which the woman ejaculates, you're losing life force energy, which causes for you to have less energy to create what you want to create, because you're giving it away. You're spilling it. Okay, you're sending it all over ways and it's being vampirized instead of you bringing it inwards. Now, if you're ejaculating or putting it in a good well or good womb, a good source, then you're able to create things. That's why there are so-called things as tantric sex or sex magic, because the ancients realized that doing sex magic, you were able to create the realities that you wanted to create. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't understand that. All right. So it is the human mind that has created the shape or structure of the torus for the length of life, for the length of a lifetime. When the mind withdraws, the torus shape ceases to exist and the physical body falls apart, like I said before. The universe is mental, all is mind. So when your mind starts to dwindle, when your mind starts to become diseased and negative and all these things, your body starts to fall apart. Hence dis-ease, hence all these illnesses that are going on the plane, and you start to lose, and that's because one, you're also losing life force. You start to lose this physical body. Okay, there's other reasons you lose this physical body, because you could just be so caught in the spiritual plane that you don't give a shit about this body. So hence the body starts to go through things as well. But the 90% of people that are on this earth, and I say 95% who are not conscious, they are literally going through this right now, where their torus field is getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And your torus field is a protection field. All right. Think about it like when people, if anybody watches sci-fi like me, I'm a sci-fi nerd. And so, people will do these magical spells and they pull up these energy fields around them to protect themselves so no one can penetrate it. Right. So when you think about a torus field, think of an egg. When you're in an egg, think about a woman's egg. All right. And the sperm trying to penetrate the egg, and all the sperm are trying to get in, but only one or two, if it's a twin, get into the egg. Okay. And I'm thinking of fraternal twins when two get in there. Okay. So that means that the egg has a barrier around it. So only what is magnetized to the egg can penetrate the egg. That's like a woman's womb. You can't get into a woman's vagina if she don't allow you to get into that, to penetrate it. Same principle. Okay. So if the stronger your auric field is in your magnetic field, the less vampirism can get into that. And the goal is to make it so strong that vampires can't siphon your energy, which is the energy is coming from your chakras, because your chakras are your motherfucking emotions, and that's what they're eating off of. They're eating off of your endocrine system, which is in the center of your body, going from your root to your crown chakra, which actually deals with your major organs, and your major organs produce chemicals. And I actually have, I'm gonna look and see if I have it on my phone right now. I actually have a photo that shows all of the chemicals that are created from those organs. Oxytocin being one of those, and adrenaline being another one of those. But oxytocin, shout out Aquarius Maximus, she talked about that in one of her videos, and that's why women are, I just found it, that's why women are quick to bond with a man with sex, because oxytocin is also a chemical that women that causes women to bond with their baby. So when a woman has a deficiency of oxytocin, she does not bond with her child, and that's why children feel abandoned. Okay, which I just emailed that to myself, so I'll pull it up in a second. All right. Let me get back into this because I'm, doing my thing. I'm gonna let this video flow like it flow. So where was I? I talked about the wave. All right. So like a surface wave on water that has its existence only by the movement of water, the human aura or torus has its existence only by the continuous movement of universal life energy or prana. It is the human mind that has created the shape or structure of the torus. I know I read all this. For the length of a life, when the mind withdraws, the torus shape ceases to exist and the physical body falls apart. The reason why we read that is because I also wanted to talk about when you throw a pebble in the water and it ripples and it makes a ripple effect. If you look at this picture, it looks like a ripple in the water. Okay. So wherever the pebble is thrown, that's the center, and then it creates a ripple effect outside of itself. That's literally what we're doing with the energy that's lining up in the center of us. Okay. So although the torus shape of the aura has a boundary, it sits in the universal life energy field, which is unlimited or infinite. Heart chakra, unlimited or infinite, your subconscious mind, unlimited or infinite. This is also the reason why we are all connected at all times with everything else in the universe. They gave you, look at that, Bobby Hemmett. A Bobby Hemmett video. Hey, but this says Taurus clip from the Thrive. I had played a Taurus clip because I wanted you guys to see the Taurus field moving. You see how it starts with the letter V? Vagina. That's why they call it vagina. That's why vagina starts with a V. It starts with the mother. The motherfucking matter. All right? Look at how it's moving. Look at that Taurus field. Look at the center being lit up. That's your soul in the center. That's your heart chakra. Your soul is supposed to dwell in the heart chakra. But a lot of y'all niggas got your soul in your motherfucking root chakra. You ain't even moved it up. Consciousness is literally moving your soul from the root chakra, sacral chakra, solar plexus to your heart chakra. Once it hits the heart chakra, you start gaining levels of knowledge, light, which we call light. So it says because the torus is a dynamic structure, it spins not only around the vertical axis, but the ring itself revolves around the circular axis, which is horizontal. Therefore, incoming energy particles that enters the torus field will follow a spiral path. So vertical, you're north and south. Horizontal, you're east and west. These are your four directions right here. Right here, sir. As Jamaica say, right here, sir. All right. So the image to the right is from a fusion research center showing the path charged particles that take on a magnetic torus field. We are electromagnetic beings, guys. Electromagnetic beings. We send out a charge, and we attract it magnetically. We send out a charge, positive charge, and we attract it magnetically. So the positive charge we're sending out represents the masculine energy, and what we're bringing in, what we're attracting, is the feminine principle. All right. So here are two more pictures giving you an alternate view of spiraling lines. So it's still showing you the spirals. Everything is a motherfucking spiral, which also correlates with everything being cyclical, coming back. But right here, this is your X. This is your X. The X chromosome. Everything is an X chromosome. Everything is the mother. Everything is feminine. Let's see if I want to read this. The torus is a very interesting shape we find in nature and in the cosmos. It is a very stable flow form. The torus flow form is similar to the rings created by the smoke of a cigar. The cigar smoke whirls inwards on top of the smoke ring and comes out again in the bottom of the ring. It is constantly folding inwards, folding inwards. That's how a woman's orgasm does. It folds inwards to come around on the other side, flowing outwards. We find the torus form also in hydrodynamics, where it allows fluids to spiral inwards and outwards on the same surface of the torus. So again, the woman, even if it flows outwards, it comes back inwards. It goes out to come back in, whereas a man, it just goes out. All right. The torus allows a vertex of energy to form, which bends back along itself and re-enters itself. So again, that is like having a vagina and a phallus. We have a vagina and a phallus, women. We have a vagina and a phallus. Men, you have it too, but it's only in your crown chakra. It's also in your heart chakra, but because you're not connecting with your root chakra, you're not able to obtain it in your heart chakra. Thus, for those who are not elevating to different levels in your crown chakra, you gotta keep gaining light in order to elevate that. And the only way to continue to gain light is to deal with your heart chakra. And I'm going to talk about some characteristics or energies that represent your heart chakra. I'm on my phone because I have notes on here too about the heart chakra. I'm going to talk about some things that you can do with your heart chakra in order for you to gain that light. All right, so you can actually start to elevate your torus field or your magnetic field. So it inside out, continuously flowing back into itself. Thus, the energy of a torus is continually refreshing itself, continually influencing itself, refreshing itself and influencing itself. That's why after sex, a woman is like, let's go. Let's go again. Let's do it again. Where a man is like, babe, I'm tired. Give me a minute. I gotta build myself back up. Nigga, that's why, okay? You are ejaculating when you need to ejaculate, then you can go more. A woman can have multiple orgasms because guess what? What is going out is coming back in, out, in, out, in. It's a constant donut. It's a constant flow, all right? Niggas are more like a tornado, all right? The tornado flowing down and it's hitting shit. You know what I'm saying? But even still, like, I did receive a download from spirit that even though we only see the outside of the tornado, there's in Earth, there's another flip side of it in the inside of Earth. So technically the tornado is still feminine, because in the inside of Earth, what we don't see is that energy is going on. That's the spiritual part, the inside, the invisible part. What we're seeing is the outside force. So actually a tornado is still feminine, but you know, what we see, it looks like masculine. So planets have a magnetic field in the shape of a torus. This is Earth's atmosphere. They call it the Van Allen's belt, I think is what they call it. Earth's atmosphere. Earth has it. This is why they say that no man could ever have landed on the moon, because this magnetic field is impenetrable. You cannot leave it. This is like motherfucking Charlotte's Web. You cannot leave it. And if you ever seen a spider's web, honey, them damn insects be trying to get out of their web. But unless that web is broken, they are done for. They will be eaten by that spider. This is Jupiter's magnetosphere. Our sun has a large toroidal field surrounding it. The heliosphere that is itself embedded inside a vastly larger toroidal field encompassing the Milky Way galaxy. All right. A new study shows for the first time that a torus of gas and dust will naturally form around the nuclear black hole as the material falls in toward the nucleus. Heart is your nucleus. Let me move my picture. Quasars, the counterpart of a black hole, emit tremendous energies, also form a torus. All right. Black holes are torus fields. You go in one point, out the other. That's the poles. All right. And then you see the poles here, the south and the north pole, and you see the donut forming, and you see the energy coming out. You see the energy going out, but the energy always comes back in. It's recycling itself. That's where the recycling sign came from, your torus field. When they talk about recycle, they're motherfucker, work on recycling your energy. I'm not against recycling in the earth because I'll recycle all the time. Shit. If I go recycle, I throw shit in the recycle. But the first recycling starts with your energy. Recycling, it means turning. The reason why sex was so potent and powerful in ancient times is because we were transmuting negative energy and recycling that motherfucker into what the fuck we wanted it to be. We were commanding the energy instead of having the energy command us. Now, a Taurus is primarily associated with a magnetic field. When you think of magnetic, think of the feminine principle. Field lines are coming out from the magnetic north. The north represents the feminine principle, north pole, feminine principle, and enter the magnetic south pole, masculine principle. A magnetic field from a magnet, for example, is static. All right. You know, when you shock somebody, you're like, damn, you shocked me. All right. That is your motherfucking aura field has built up a certain amount of static. And then you wind up shocking another person because you are exerting it out to that person because you are not controlling your motherfucking energy. You're letting it go out all willy motherfucking nilly, as we say. But magnetic field can be made to rotate, and then we have a dynamic torus field. If you look at this right here, this is showing you how scientists are trying to create their own torus field. They're literally always trying to replicate what we already possess. They're doing a physical representation of what we contain already in our spirit. So if we understand that the spirit is way more powerful than the matter, way more powerful than the matter, we know that there's nothing they can do that can really fuck with us. That's why building up your torus field is the only way to control your environment and your reality. Magnetic fields are rotated by the construction of toroidal coils loop perpendicular around the donut ring of a torus, which is used in the tokamak fusion reactor, which is what they were showing you above, that silver bullshit. Now, this right here is an example of what it looks like when our energy is going out and coming back in when we're recycling. This is the Ouroboros. If you don't know what an Ouroboros is, let me pull that up for you real quick. Honey, I am on a roll, so I'm just going to let it flow like it flow, flow, flow. This is a snake right here. All right. This is the snake eating its tail. So in Egyptian times, we showed the image of the Ouroboros. All right. And it says here, it's an ancient symbol depicting a serpent or a dragon eating its own tail, originating in ancient Egyptian iconography, which I'm going to keep it real. This shit has been. This was Atlantean shit. This was Lemurian shit. And the Egyptians being descendants of that lineage, they were able to tap into that DNA, that memory, that water to get this information back and bring it back up into the gnosis. Because the Atlantean and the Lemurian shit sunk. Okay, we did some shit with technology. We got way fucking, you know what I'm saying, way fucking too much with it. We literally got too much with technology, like what niggas trying to do now, all right? And we destroyed shit, which caused us to sink to the bottom of the water, which telling you got to return back to the motherfucking source because you're doing too much, all right? And literally that civilization died or perished. So the ancient Egyptians, they like to attribute a lot to the ancient Egyptians because they can actually find tangible physical information to back up it, which white people like to call facts. But black people, we know that the facts is actually it's actually in your motherfucking DNA and in your memory. So the more and more that you trust your inner self, the more and more you're able to tap into your memory, which is all your experiences and all your lifetimes. So even if you haven't seen flashes of your lifetimes all the time, which I know that in dreams I'm obviously seeing shit, you'll get this information, and this information is coming from your past life experiences, okay? The Ouroboros entered Western tradition via Greek magical tradition and was adopted as a symbol in Gnosticism and Hermeticism, and most notably in alchemy. And anytime you see Gnosticism and Hermeticism, just think of Gnosticism being the Egyptians after the Egyptians that was, you know, putting hieroglyphs on walls. These are the Egyptians that was like totally fed up with living on this planet. And it's like, this is what it really is. this is what you're really dealing with. Get the fuck out of here, because this is a prison planet. In Hermeticism, think about that as the when things got put on paper. So this is literally when books and shit was being written. This is when the Thoth writings, or the deity that would be considered to be Hermes or whatever, came into existence, okay, or was put on paper in existence. All right. This is when they were teaching you how to change yourself from lead or iron, which is material, to gold, which is spiritual. That's literally what alchemy is. Alchemy is changing from something that's material to spiritual. And really, gold is your soul. The light that you seek is gold, your spirit. That's the real motherfucking currency. All right. Let's see. All right. Rotating magnetic fields with the resulting torus field seems to be the principal propulsion drive of flying saucers. So they're telling you, when people are talking about flying saucers, what they're really talking about is a fucking torus field shape, according to certain people who have been on board them. The field encompasses the entire craft and also create separate time-space unit that can be moved by using the non-local universal field. I think the human aura is very similar. This is a person's opinion. I see it as a self-sustained dynamic magnetic field that has its own time-space and is intimately connected to the non-local field. Literally, your torus field, when you gain control of it and you create the correct geometric pattern, it becomes Metatron's cube. And then Metatron's cube, which is the two triangles, it correlates to the number 6, which represents balance of the masculine and the feminine principle. And it's actually when the masculine is like this and the feminine is like this, and you see like Jay-Z doing this, The Rock, and then you see the Rastas doing this. You know what I'm saying? This and this represents the number 6. This is what they call the Star of David. That is Metatron's cube. That is literally your ship, your spiritual ship, in order to transcend time and to do what they call space travel. So that's the end of these slides. However, let me make sure I capture all points, because I did have some other notes. Let me make sure that I got to everything. I talked about how the vagina is the torus field because she represents the X chromosome, and the X chromosome is a mirror of really what your true mind is. And that's what Osiris was depicting. As above, so below. The man losing the life force, it goes outward, so on and so forth. I'm just looking at my notes. Yep, I talked about everything I wanted to talk about. I'm so proud of myself. And I talked about everything I want to talk about without even looking at my notes the whole entire time, y'all. So like I said, just to close out, your torus field is created mainly by your heart. This is the main factor, because this is where your soul, this is the home of your soul. So if your soul is angry, it's full of hate, it got a blockage of trust, it has all these issues, your torus field is not as strong. But when your torus field is dealing in compassion and unconditional love, that's what I wanted to talk about and end it on. So the heart chakra is supposed to end on a level of forgiveness, compassion, trust, and unconditional love. So until you have forgiveness of self, you have compassion for yourself, you trust yourself, and you have unconditional love for yourself, you are not, your heart is not light as a feather. That is why the heart is the gateway. Okay, because the heart is what is actually creating your torus field, your main torus field that's generating your reality. And until you have an understanding of yourself, you cannot generate the reality that you so want to create. Okay, so you have to get your heart chakra in balance. And it's amazing that I'm talking about this message at this time, because I have been doing a lot of heart chakra work. As you can tell, I'm actually speaking on subjects and things that I would normally not speak on. I normally don't speak on race and all these things. I literally start being open to speak about these things and not caring what other people think, because I start dealing with my heart chakra and realizing it's not about people pleasing. It's about speaking your own truth, which is a throat chakra thing as well. I'm going to do the chakra spinning after, because I have to use the bathroom. So I'm going to end this video, but I am going to do the chakra spinning after this video, guys. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. You can definitely contact me so that we can go ahead and get it cracking and go ahead and start balancing and all of your chakras and dealing with your root chakra, from your root chakra to your crown chakra. We actually start making certain emotions come out of yourself. That's literally what working with your chakras does. It makes you deal with these emotions that you've been burying in your subconscious mind, the things that you don't want to deal with. Because what happens is your subconscious mind is creating a reality of it. It's creating a physical example or symbol because you're keep trying to suppress something. You keep trying to push it down. Okay, you can never push anything down. You can never bury it because it always comes to the what? The light. So Heal Soul actually deals with doing distance Reiki, but I do so much more than just distance Reiki. And when I do the chakra exercise, you'll have another understanding or another level of understanding on what that looks like. So you can definitely contact me for a free consultation. That's a 15-minute consultation. You can do the booking on Facebook. If you don't have Facebook, you can inbox me on my Heal Soul Instagram page, and we can go ahead and go from there. I can find out what avenues you have for contacting you. I prefer to do WhatsApp. I can also do Zoom, like how I'm doing this video on Zoom. And then I just tell you about the process and what it's going to look like from a distance Reiki perspective and how it works energetically, for us to do something on an energetic, a spiritual level versus doing it in the physical. Because I honestly feel, to be honest, from a lot of times doing it on a spiritual level can be more powerful because you're only focused on the spirit of a person versus just having the physical body there. Because starting on a spirit or energetic level is where all of your illnesses and dis-ease actually starts. Okay. So you can contact me via my Instagram page on Heal Soul, or you can go to my Facebook page and contact me directly. I have the little buttons where you can do a book now session, and you can choose the date that you want to book. I'm going to do some updating because I don't want people contacting me at all times. I do prefer to do those at night, but I can do it throughout the day as well. But I prefer to do it at night because at nighttime your body starts to do a rejuvenation process. Your conscious mind shuts down, and that means your subconscious mind has control and has reign over everything. So it's a great time to deal with programming, to reprogram what the fuck you have been going on. And when you're doing reprogramming, you're also deprogramming, and you're clearing out and transmuting programming that no longer works or suits you, which is a programming you were given when you incarnated into this physical body, which belongs to the earth, or better yet, your physical mother and your physical father, because the left side is your mother and the right side is your father, because your right brain controls your left side and your left brain controls your right side. So that's why your eyes can be different shapes and things of that nature. Things don't be even and balanced because guess what, nigga, your left side is your mother and your right side is your father. Anywho's, so you can contact me and we can go ahead and get started with doing some reconstruction of your chakras, so you can start dealing with your emotions. That way you can start clearing out these things that you no longer want to have. It also helps you start to control your thoughts better. So anywho's, I'm going to end the video on this note. Like I said, I'll do another video talking about the chakra spinning because it's a very important aspect, and that's something you can do on your own. All right, so I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Please, let me stop sharing first and end my meeting.